All right, in this episode, we talk about measurements that define pitching velocity
and the science behind 3X pitching.
All right, Brent Porcio, Stephen Godana here at Top Velocity, hashtag Pitch Tips Show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat at Top Velocity, hashtag Pitch Tips. Ask your question. We answer on the show. Obviously, you know, we just did 2 episodes in a row because we're still wearing these stupid brute. It's not stupid. I'm not ripping on
awesome
poor.
shirts.
These
Yeah,
are
what are
awesome
you talking
shirts.
about?
I'm saying they're stupid because we look stupid wearing them is what it is.
I think we look good.
Yeah, we probably look good. These are actually really nice shirts.
Yeah.
If you can see the material,
We just
really
didn't
cool
plan
material.
that we were both going to be
We
wearing.
should sell these shirts. We don't even sell these shirts in the front.
Yeah.
Talking about Top Velocity, we've got camps coming up, guys. 3X, 2X camps. So we highly recommend you start booking those because the price is going to go up. Price is going to go up soon because we're adding the online course. Plus, they're getting full. We've got them through March, May, June, July, August. About not as many as I had last year. I highly recommend you get these in. We're gonna have very limited space, so couldn't stress that more. Book that. Call Steven for room or me. We'll help you figure that out if you need help on the room and board. But get those camps booked before the price goes up and before everybody gets in. We only have a few spots left. All right, so let's get started. What's our question for today? Justice Martin asks, what other data should be gathered besides bench, squat, and hang clean, and what should the target numbers be? Justice, good question. Remember, it's power clean. It's typically we measure power clean max, squat, and bench. What other measures should be measured? Good question, because when you come to a camp, this is what we do. We measure basically dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, hip internal rotation, hip external rotation.
Trunk rotation.
Well, we got to go hip abduction, hip extension, hip flexion, trunk rotation, shoulder internal rotation, shoulder external rotation, height, weight, vertical jump, broad jump, 10-yard sprint, grip strength, total body strength. Then broad we did broad jump. Yep. So then we go into all the biomechanics that we can measure. So measuring is everything because you don't know. It's like just had a conversation with Bob Wheatley. Bob Wheatley's brother plays for USC right now and is throwing really hard, and they're lefty-righty combo, and they're very different. And Bob's always curious, like what his brother does really well, because his brother throws harder than him, that he doesn't do well. So, I'm asking him, and he's sending it to me tonight, sending me 2 videos of both of them, and I put them in the biometric analysis, which you've seen on YouTube, and we'll know exactly what's going on, pretty much. We'll see, hey, he's a little faster here, he's a little bit better positions here, we'll see it. And that's the best thing about measuring. Like, I wouldn't know. And it just leaves you frustrated when you don't know. You start guessing, making things up. I start guessing, making things up. But when I measure it, I know. That's the only way you're gonna know. So we measure as much as we can. We measure as frequent as we can. It wears you out. But you got to if you really want to make progress. So measuring every 2 months would be ideal. Making sure you're progressing. That's what we do with 3X programs. So you come in 3X programs, your goal is to all those measurements go up. All of them just keep getting better. And when they get stuck, then we have to really focus in on why they're getting stuck, because that's what's holding us back. And guys that don't make, we've had guys come in, make big gains, come back the next year, make average gains, and it's because those measurements didn't really go up. That gets to be the hard part, because eventually you're going to cap out. You're going to plateau somewhere, but most baseball players out there haven't even come close to it. They haven't even gotten started. But this is the road. We got to measure. Anything to add to it?
Yeah, I would just add that all of this, Top Velocity, I see that it just has so much farther that it can go with measurement, with stuff that you can do. Like even just today, I was showing Brent that I was looking online, trying to find ideas for force plates to be able to measure ground reaction forces, so that I don't know, either make it like where you could put it in a shoe, or make a mound that has a force plate where your front leg is going to land and where you're driving off, so you can measure how much force you're pushing out of your back leg, how much you're landing on your front leg. Then you combine that with the biomechanics, and boom, now you know how much a guy is driving out of his drive leg and landing on his front leg, and you look at all the biomechanics, and you can measure all that stuff. So that it'll just be never ending of stuff that you can measure and keep learning more about how high velocity pitchers throw the way that they do.
So when I first started working for, I guess I can say it now, when I first started working for, I know I'm just not going to say it for legal reasons, for a major league team, I asked them, well, why did I get hired? And they said, well, I had more biometric measurements than anyone as far as who they were interviewing. So I was happy, but it goes to show, like, that's what I've always tried to do, is always try to discover new things about the delivery. And that's why if you look at the 3X pitching mechanics, there's 50 plus components, and there's more than that. Just I defined 50. But in my data sheets, man, I can measure thousands of different components. Now, that's just not athleticism, that's purely in the biomechanics, but you just learn so much, and there's so much there to really understand. And yeah, you might not find a lot of absolutes across the board. There is some, and studies have found correlations, but what you find is individually you can see things better. It's you can see, oh, my hips aren't moving like they were last year, or my back leg's in a very different position than it was last year, and it makes a great, it creates a great environment for improvement when you've got someone like David Arsman comes in here from 2009, or in 2009, we have video that we measure and we can see how he was moving when he threw his hardest. So now we have the better version of David, and then we can just work to put that back. And you know what? When we did that, what do you think happened? He started throwing close to that speed again, which was ideal. So yeah, if you're not measuring, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're guessing. Mm-hmm. And that's no way to be successful. Okay, cool. Next question. The Brysel's Right asks, hey, Brent, I was wondering if you could check out my mechanics and analyze them on the show. Thanks. Okay, so initially in leading, taking your momentum down the mound, I think you probably have some mobility issues in your hip. Ideally, we could go a little more into the load in your back hip. You need to get more explosive out of that position because you want to transfer your trunk early. So typically when we hit that good loaded position and you see everything, early trunk rotation, early trunk tilts, like we're seeing with you, it's because you're not explosive enough to explode through that, power your hips through, and that'll delay your trunk. So everything's going early because there's not power there. So you got a leg power issue, and more than likely, when you pick up that leg power, you're going to have to teach your body to counter rotate and delay that trunk, and then everything should really clean up. I mean, the arm path isn't so bad, it's just everything's pushing out in front of your face because everything's transferring early. So it's a big early transfer of trunk and upper body, which reduces the energy coming up the chain and makes you either overcompensate with your arm or you lose performance. So just a big lower half issue, I think, with you. And it's an explosive issue, developmental issue that ideally with 3X programs, that's what you would need, because that's going to give you all that development of the Olympic lifting in our approach with Olympic lifting, and then help you get that into the drills, and that will help you get more explosive in your lower half movements on the mount. So that's what I'm seeing. Stephen, anything you want to add?
I would just add, typical of guys that aren't throwing high 90s, I'm trying to think of the one where the study that's saying the guy is throwing 80 miles per hour, and if you just added 0.1 second behind the ball.
But that was just taking Newton's acceleration equals force divided by mass, and you apply the mass as the baseball, and then you apply the force of an 80 mile an hour fastball. All you have to do is increase the time you apply that force by 0.2 of a second to throw the ball 90.
Yeah, so for something like him, I was connecting that in the sense that it's he's wanting to throw and everything get going so early instead of really driving with the lower half, getting everything to load back, which would give him more time, and then launching the ball.
Gives you two things. It gives you more time and more force.
Exactly.
So you take that equation where you need to add 0.2 of a second more to an 80 mile an hour pitch to get to 90. Well, you do, say you add 0.1 of a second more and you increase the force even more, and then there's a better chance you get to 90. So that's really what we try to do with that equation, is we try to bring more force to the ball, and we try to bring more time to generating that force.
And when you're throwing with your lower half, you're really spending more time behind the baseball too, and like you're saying, you're creating more force behind it.
No other approach out there takes a lower half driving approach with a hip to shoulder separation approach, 3X pitching, what defines 3X pitching. And based on Newton's law, it proves that this is the most effective way to increasing velocity. Because based on that acceleration force divided by mass, 0.2 of a second longer. If you're already throwing 80, you just need to throw 80 for 0.2 of a second longer. Well, people don't understand that is an eternity, because when your front foot lands and your arm's in the cocked position, it typically takes you 0.2 of a second to throw the ball. So it's saying throw the ball twice. If you're throwing 80, just throw it again and it hits 90. Well, we don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
So if we can get close to 1/10, say I separate more, and I add on maybe 0.05, 0.06, but then I get more force up the chain to the arm, coming behind that hand, more energy, linear wrist velocity, energy coming from the back leg drive, which studies show correlation, then you're guaranteed to throw harder. So that's the challenge. And the problem is you'll get a lot of guys, though, that will increase the power of the lower half. They'll increase the energy in the lower half, and then what happens is then their trunk wants to go earlier. So they actually reduce the time to put force in the ball, even though they pick the energy up, so it counters the improvement. So it's challenging. It has to be done both, and that's why it gets to be really tough, because you're trying to put more explosive power, and then you're trying to delay your upper body. It's really hard to do, and that's why you need this program. You need a program like this to do it, because no other program's doing that, and you're guaranteed to throw harder because we have the math that proves it. Okay, cool. Good question. Good point. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat at Top Velocity, #pitch tips, #baseball tips. Ask your question, we answer on the show. If you haven't already, come down, or you've been down to 3X Velocity Camp, you need to sign up, or if you've been, you want to come back for a refresher, come back. Go to topvelocity.net, 3X Velocity Camps, 2X Camps. Book ASAP, prices go up in a week, and also space fills up, so we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah. Hold on, we them boys. We them boys.